I'm all set and I'm rolling, so.
Ready?
I can be talking to you, right?
Yeah. Over the years, what stands out is the most one memorable event from Wheatland?
What kind of question
Pin
is
down
that?
any one thing that stands out.
One thing that stands out is, I think it was 1977 when Martin, Bogan, and Armstrong were on the stage. It was probably Saturday night, and they had done a couple of encores, and people didn't want them to leave. And they kept saying, you know, we gotta go, we gotta go. And he said, pointed to the east, and the full moon was rising over the woods on the east side of the farm there. And he said, we gotta go. The moon is coming up and more stars have got to shine. Let everybody else come up and take their turn on the stage too. I'll never forget that. Two of those guys are gone, but Howard Armstrong was here this weekend. He was in that bunch that was here 12 years ago or 13 years ago.
What's one of the toughest things putting this whole thing together?
The toughest thing is getting the volunteers to understand what they're supposed to do. Volunteer orientation meetings are things we tried to have a long time ago. We haven't had good ones in a long time. Dealt with it this year on a crew leader level. We've had meetings with some crew leaders and things have been working out a lot better. They had a lot more things written down to give to the volunteers that explained their jobs. A lot of the different areas had handouts. And before, they never had anything like that. And they really would go out there to do their job and they weren't really sure what to do if something happened. They had a hard time dealing with it. Everything would break down at them.
Where do most of the volunteers come from? Around the area or just all over?
No, I mean all over Michigan. We got volunteers from the Upper Peninsula, Kalamazoo, and Ann Arbor.
When the festival used to be smaller, is it going to get too big someday?
Boy, it seems like the last couple of years it, you know, kind of got, when the farm it gets so packed as it is now, you have to start thinking, uh-oh, what did we do? What did we do wrong, and what can we do? We certainly don't want to stop doing it, you know. Luckily, we got good neighbors. We're using the neighbor's farm, but it'd be something if we promoted this thing. It would really be swamped. We don't promote it, and we're swamped. So what are you gonna do? I don't know. You know,
You're gonna have to start turning people away.
that's people have been talking about that for years as a possibility, but you know, we can't fence the whole farm in. You know, there's certain levels of, since the beginning. Yeah, we were. There still is a free concert committee in Big Rapids, and I used to help with that outfit, and there was one in Mount Pleasant too. I don't think the one in Mount Pleasant is still surviving, but that's what kind of got us into putting on concerts. We had a little bit of sound gear, and we just drove once a month. We go to Big Rapids. Once a month we go to Mount Pleasant and call in bands to come and play and stuff. We did that for a couple, 3 or 4 years, and we're working for the Mount Pleasant Food Co-op. First, you know, I told you that the first.
Why did you do that?
The first festival in '74 was just a one-day event to raise money for the food co-op.
Yeah, they were telling us over there.
You know, and we had better turnout than we expected, and that was in August of '74. In October of '75, or maybe the spring of '75, we kind of stopped working for the food co-op and incorporated as Wheatland to start planning on other festivals.
Over the years, it's changed a lot. What's your favorite change and what's your least favorite change?
Well, I'm not real happy with the growth the last couple of years. You know, all these extra people, and it's really, we haven't, you know, we probably should have figured for this growth, this big spurt, there might be 2,000 more people here than there was last year, and there was 2,000 more people last year than we figured on having. So that's the tricky, you know, you're talking about that question you asked before. That's a hard thing to figure out how to handle that, you know. So that's, in a way, it's kind of a negative thing for me. The positive things are just the family aspect of things, more things for the kids on Kids Hill, and more volunteers and better organization along that line. The most positive thing is just the way people feel about it. You know? Everybody feels pretty good about it. Helping Wheatland. If they can do anything, they'll drive. You know, the people that were here last weekend, Labor Day weekend, so the extra day there for them, and it worked out good for them because they always look for a reason to come up here when there's not 20,000 people to crowd around, and so people like coming here. That's the feeling.
If you met someone that never heard about Wheatland before, what would you tell them? How would you explain the students?
Well, I always use the term like non-commercial folk music, or you know, the arts and crafts stuff, and the music and the dancing. It's all stuff you don't find, you know, on your general sort of, you know, on the AM and FM radio. You don't get much of that. FM, you know, a little bit, but you're not going to see much of these bands on TV. There is a little, you know, if you got cable TV, you can catch a little bit of it, but it's the stuff, you know, that people do at home. Some of these bands are professional and they're on the road all the time, but most of them aren't. Most of them have day jobs and they play music every night at home instead of watching TV and stuff. You gotta come here and well, another real big positive thing is that so many people have, through their attendance at the festival, they have picked up on these hobbies and crafts, and they started playing music or dancing. They do these things when they go home. They come here and it's a big celebration, but a lot of them go home and live this stuff. It's a daily, you know, it's part of their lives. I think for a lot of them, they would tell you that it wasn't until they came here. You know, so tell somebody that's never been here before, you know, kind of prepare yourself for a heavy dose of things to do instead of watching TV.
Earlier.
So you think it's changed a lot of people's lives that have attended?
People from the camping gear, you could go any place in the woods, you know, in the camps, and they'll say, this is the tent we bought to come to Wheatland, this is our sleeping bag for Wheatland, this is our cook stove. I've sat with people and had them tell me this, you know. They upgrade their camping materials, and, you know, one year to the next, you know, they get a better air mattress or something so they're more comfortable because they're getting older. And, you know, it's a big event they look forward to. And, you know, some people go to festivals all the time, a lot of them don't. A lot of them, this is their only thing. Maybe their only vacation also they want to.
It's our only vacation this year.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier, you know, previously when we talked about all the art.
It's a juried art show, and the people over there are carefully selected just as we select the bands and the dance groups. And it's a hard, people say there's not a lot of turnover down there. You kind of see the same booths all the time. There's a lot of people who do that, but a lot of them might not come to events quite like this, and or they don't like to eat so much dirt or something, you know. But we get a lot of requests, people who, you know, obviously just, you know, go to a craft store and buy a bunch of stuff and then assemble some kind of thing and call it, you know, homemade, handcrafted stuff, you know. just like playing music at home with your family and singing songs. That's the homemade craft aspect of that. It's got to be the same way with the people over in the jury garden. Gotta really do it the traditional way. The short story there, the first one was just that one day, and I don't know how many hundreds of people came, but we expected, you know, a couple hundred, and we had well over 500 people come to that. We didn't have lights, so the show basically got done at dark. Lives here, Mark Winnett, was at that one, and he later on